Hello, in this video we're going to look at an exchange economy, look at concepts of Pareto optimality, Pareto improvements. So we're going to start with two consumers. Consumer A has the following utility function and has initial endowments of 2 units of good X and 8 units of good Y. Consumer B has the following utility function, and this consumer has an endowment, an initial endowment of 8 units of good X and 2 units of good Y. So in total there are 10 units of good X and 10 units of good Y in this exchange economy. We want to ask, is the following new allocation Pareto Superior, or some books might call it a Pareto Improvement? So this new allocation, consumer A now has 1 more unit of good X, has 3 units of good X, and the same number of units of good Y. And what we did, we basically took one of these units away from consumer B and gave it to consumer A. So consumer B now only has 7 units of X and still the same number of units of Y. So still in total here we have 10 units of X and 10 units of Y. So what is a Pareto Superior or a Pareto Improvement? It would be an allocation that makes one or both consumers better off and neither consumer is made worse off. Is that the case in this reallocation? Consumer A is definitely better off. If we were to evaluate consumer A's utility function at the initial endowment and then this new allocation, consumer A's utility is now higher. Consumer B, on the other hand, is made worse off. Their consumer B's utility was higher at the initial endowment than it is with this new endowment. So this was not a Pareto Superior improvement. In example 2, compared to the initial endowments, is the following new allocation Pareto Superior. So in this case, consumer A has 4 units of X and 6 units of Y, and consumer B has 6 units of X and 4 units of Y. So consumer A is better off. Consumer A's initial endowment gave the consumer 16 units of satisfaction. This new endowment gives the consumer 24 units. And likewise, consumer B is better off. Their utility increases with this new endowment compared to the initial endowment. So this is a Pareto Superior, this is a Pareto Improvement. Both consumers here are made better off and neither is made worse off. Example 3, is the following allocation Pareto Optimal? So revisiting that last example, is this allocation Pareto Optimal? So what is Pareto Optimal, or some books might call it Pareto Efficient? It would be an allocation in which it is not possible to make one consumer better off without harming the other consumer. So is there some way we can deviate from this allocation that could make one consumer better off and not harm the other consumer? If there is, this would not be Pareto Optimal. So what we're going to find out here, the allocation in this example is not Pareto Optimal. There is a new allocation that could make at least one consumer better off without harming the other consumer. The allocation is Pareto Superior compared to the initial endowments, but it is not Pareto Optimal. So for example, let's try this allocation. Each consumer has 5 units of each good. Consumer A is better off, and consumer B is better off. So this is not Pareto Optimal or Pareto Efficient. We could find an allocation that makes, like we did in this case, that actually makes both consumers better off. Okay, that's it. I hope you found this video helpful.